So we're going to be doing a full face of Sisley makeup today. Sisley is one of my favorite brands, and they just came out with a brand new highlighter and a brand new bronzer. I could not be more excited. I ordered these off of Nordstrom and they just arrived, and I thought I would take the opportunity to talk about Sisley, to do a full face, to kind of share my thoughts on the products that I'll be using, probably some other things because I can't shut up about Sisley. So before we dive into the makeup application, let's take a look at these new products. So this first one is the L'Orchidée highlighter. I'm sure I'm slaughtering that. It's the illuminating powder and it's in the shade Golden. It comes in this velvet pouch, and look at this compact. Gorgeous. So it flips up. Oh, look at that. We've got a baked gel powder formula, and I'm going to do a quick swatch. Oh, it feels velvety. Oh yeah. Wow, that looks beautiful. Gold with a peach base. That looks like it's going to be the absolute most perfect tone. I cannot wait to try that out. And then the other new product is their Sun-Kissed Powder Gel Bronzer. And does this have a shade? I don't think so. I do have an older bronzer of theirs that I do want to compare. Same packaging, gorgeous, brushed gold. And here, wow, look at that. This I think looks a little bit lighter than the bronzer I have, and I'm talking about their original Phyto-Poudre bronzer. Yeah, it does look lighter. Let me just try and gracefully hold these up next to one another. Here we go. So here's the original, which we all know and love, and here's this one. I don't know, they kind of look the same. Whatever. Let me do a swatch of this new one. Ooh, so smooth, beautiful, gentle sheen. And then since we're here, let me do a swatch of the older one. So there's a swatch of the older one. I don't know if there's much of a difference there. Initially, I thought maybe this was deeper and then this was like a little bit cooler. I'm gonna have to take a closer look. So we'll do that when we get to the bronze part. So those are the two new products that I wanted to really shine a spotlight on in today's video, but I am gonna do a full face. Okay, so I'm gonna start with one of my favorite primers. This is the Sisley Phyto-Tint Primer. And you guys have seen me use this quite a bit over the past couple of months. I like using this all on its own. It is great, of course, as a primer to be used underneath foundation, but all on its own, it has a very, very slight tint to it. It's just sort of skin perfecting, and it does have this really gorgeous like sheen to it. So I'm just gonna work it in with my fingers. It just really feels like skincare, it feels like lotion. I'm gonna put a little bit more on. Look at this gorgeous satin glow. I just love it. And like I said, I do like to put this on just by itself if I'm doing just an easy look. I don't need to do like a lot of coverage. I'm feeling pretty good about my skin. This is absolutely fantastic. I love how smooth it makes my skin look. Okay, so that is the primer from Sisley. And then I'm going to use the cushion foundation. This is my favorite foundation from Sisley. And when it comes to cushion foundations, I don't know why, but I like using a sponge to apply it. Normally, as you guys know, I'm a brush gal, but I love a sponge for cushion foundation. Something about the formula, something about the form factor of a cushion foundation. And I love to use a really big sponge. So something bigger than the typical beauty blender. And Rephr has 3 sponge sizes, and this is the largest Rephr size. Look at how big this sponge is. This is actually bigger than my previous favorite large sponge, which is the Sonia Kashuk from Target. It's that marbled one. You guys have seen me use that a lot. This one is actually bigger. And when I'm applying foundation, I just want it all over anyway. So it makes very, very quick work of it. So here is the Sisley Cushion Foundation. Let me take that out. I do have it in the shade 00C Swan, and I'm gonna go in with like the butt side, not the pointy side, but the butt side of the sponge, and just start to pounce. And I just recently got a refill for this cushion foundation. I had gone without this cushion foundation for a really long time, and I was like, why don't I have it? So I ordered this, and this 00C Swan shade is relatively new. I had another very pale shade, but it was not light enough for my skin tone, so I was happy when they came out with this 00C. And this is, I mean, this isn't like very recent. This isn't even over the past couple of months. This is probably last year sometime. Do you remember when cushion foundations were so in vogue? Every company was coming out with a cushion foundation, and now I barely see anyone using cushion foundations, but they're still amazing. There's something very, very creamy about the appearance of cushion foundations that I can't seem to get from any other type of foundation. They also all seem to have a pretty decent coverage, like medium coverage, but they never ever look heavy. The Sisley one is really exceptional though. It really makes my skin look so smooth and plump and juicy and just, yeah, just like all the things. Look at that. It's so good. This with the primer is like chef's kiss. Okay, so that's the cushion foundation in 00C. Now let's move over to concealer. Now I think one of the most popular products from Sisley is their, what's the full name of this? The Eye Concealer with Botanical Extracts, this guy in the tube. It has that metal tip and it even comes with like a little brush. This concealer I save for very special occasions or when I'm not looking well, or if I am actually unwell. And I've got really dark circles under my eyes or I have bags or whatever. This has extremely, extremely high coverage. So this is not a concealer that I personally like to use every single day, but if you need a lot of coverage that isn't cakey, a lot of coverage that isn't like dry looking or whatever, this goes on like a dream. With the super high coverage, this is your best friend if that's what you're looking for. Me personally, I like something just a little bit lighter, maybe something to brighten up my under eyes. And this is actually a re-up for me. This is the Stila Lumiere. This is the Instant Radiance Booster Pen in the shade number 1. Now I had this years and years ago, probably 5 years ago. And I was like, you know what? I'm actually gonna pan something and I'm gonna use this pen until it's done because I loved it. And I was like, there's no reason for me not to use it. So I just kept using this over and over and over until I was done with it. But it took me so long because I was using other things in between. But it was like anytime I just didn't or wasn't trying out like a new concealer, I was using this pen. And so I, since then, have not used this pen. So that's why I just recently re-upped on this. But I just really, really love this pen. It has such a beautiful brightening quality to it. It kind of reminds me of the YSL Touche Éclat, but it has, I would say, a little bit more coverage and a little bit less like shine than the YSL. So it's got this sponge tip applicator. It's got that twist click at the bottom. So I'm just going to just do a couple of dabs there, nothing too crazy. And I'm just going to use my finger. Actually, I could use the sponge. It does have a pointy side. Even though it's giant, it does have this pointy side. Yeah, it does a really, really great job. Just like brightening a little bit of coverage. It's just a great kind of like everyday sort of under eye brightener slash concealer. So that's the Instant Radiance Booster Pen. Love this. And then I do want to powder my face a little bit. I do love the pressed powder from Sisley. I actually just re-upped on that. I have 2 shades in that actually. I have Natural, wonderful, and then I have number 4, which is Bronze, which is a really nice light bronze for me. But Sisley did just reformulate and come out with these loose powders, and I've talked about these already. They're really, really lovely, and I do like using a loose powder, especially when I'm home, because once I'm on a trip or go traveling, I do not bring loose powder with me. I always just bring like a pressed powder, and I always miss my loose powders. So I'm gonna go in with, this is the shade Translucent, and this is the one that I prefer for like an everyday situation. I also have shimmer. I also have like the rose shade, but I like this translucent shade just like for everyday. I do not need a lot of this powder. I have very, very dry skin, and I do like to leave my skin looking slightly glowy, slightly creamy, but I don't feel comfortable leaving it just unset. So I do like to use just a little bit of powder. I mean, we're talking just a really, really light dusting. If I go in too much with this loose powder, it does start to look very, very mattifying. And if you have oilier skin, that's probably something you welcome, but for me, not so much. So I'm just gonna go in with that light dusting, maybe a little bit more, but it really leaves my complexion looking very soft. I'm just gonna buff a little bit. But just to show you the tonal difference, here's the rose one and here's the translucent one that I just used. So rose is number 3, and then here is the shimmer, number 1. This has a little bit of a lighter tone to the powder, not too much. And there is a bit of shimmeriness to it. I prefer shimmer powders as like a finishing powder versus a setting powder. So I don't really use this one that much. I really do prefer the translucent when I'm trying to just set down my makeup. You know, I think I will use some of the pressed powder. So this is the pressed powder I'm talking about. It comes with this zebra cover. I love it. This is number 2 natural. And I'm gonna add just a little bit more to my under eyes because it just makes me feel a little bit better. Once I add a little bit of eye makeup, it's less likely going to smudge and run away with itself. So I'm just going to use some of this pressed powder. You can absolutely use the loose powder as well, but I thought I would show you guys this one since I just re-upped on this one. So great, so blurring. Love this pressed powder. This one and the Givenchy Prism Lee pressed powder, those two are some of my favorite pressed powders for sure. Okay, now let's go to the bronzer, and I'm gonna do better swatches because I really wanna try and figure out if there's much of a difference between the new and the previous one. And I still see this one for sale, so I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for the original in the round compact. But I'm gonna do some swatches like just on the back of my hand here, just so I can take a really good look at them. I'm gonna try and make sure I pick up the same amount of product. They definitely look different. I think the difference isn't so much in how dark the color is, it's in the temperature. So this is the older one. Yeah, this one over here is the previous version. It's warmer. It looks warmer. I don't know if it's coming across on camera because when I look at it in the viewfinder, it's really hard to tell. But when I'm looking at my hand down here, I can see it clear as day. This one is warmer and this one is just a little bit more neutral. Still warm, but a little bit more neutral versus this one. They both have a really beautiful kind of subtle golden sheen to them. But yeah, the older one I think is a little bit warmer. And if I remember correctly, I think that was the only, you know, quote unquote complaint about the older one is that it can tend to look a little orangey on the skin. So maybe they were trying to correct that with this newer version. So I'm gonna use one of my all-time favorite bronzer brushes, which is the Refer 22 brush. Now, I don't think this is on their site right now. I apologize, but I think they're reworking it at the moment. I asked them not to rework it too much because I love it. I love it so, so much. It's just big, it's fluffy, but it is pinched. So it gives you some nice control when you do want to use your bronzer as contour. So this is natural goat hair. I really, really like natural hair brushes when I'm dealing with like a baked gel powder formula. I just think they pick up a lot more easily. I think they blend out the product a little bit more seamlessly on the skin. Not to say that there aren't some fantastic synthetic brushes out there that could work beautifully with this product. I just happen to prefer natural hair brushes with baked gel powders. Okay, so I'm gonna go in, pick up a bit, and work it in. And if you guys haven't heard me say this before, I fell in love with baked gel powders because of this bronzer. This is actually the second one that I have of this bronzer. The original came in silver packaging, and I got it when I was first really getting into makeup, when I was first starting out on YouTube. And I got it, and it just, you know, looks so cool, and I just loved it. Everyone on YouTube was talking about it. And I was trying to use, I can't even remember what brush. It was probably before I was getting into brushes as well. And I was using most definitely a synthetic haired brush. And I was like, this bronzer sucks. It's not showing up on my skin. I can't pick it up. It looks patchy. I just had all these complaints about the bronzer. And then I started playing around with brushes. And when I used a natural haired brush with that bronzer, it all like came together. I was like, oh my God, this bronzer is gorgeous. This brush is incredible. And that's when I got into brushes as well. But that was my very first baked gel powder product that I fell in love with and learned to use properly, like learned to use that formula properly with that product. So I definitely have a soft spot in my heart for this Sisley bronzer. I mean, look at that soft application, the glow that it has. Oh, this is beautiful. And now that I do have it on the skin, this is most definitely less warm than this version. So if you have a cooler skin tone, if you just prefer like a cooler toned, not that this is cool toned, I shouldn't say that, a cooler toned bronzer versus this, maybe give this one a shot because the formula is the same gorgeous formula, just the tone. Like now that I have it on my skin, I can tell that it's peachier versus orange. Okay, I'm gonna have to stop applying this all over, otherwise I'm gonna start looking like, is it George Hamilton? George Hamilton. Put it down, back away from the bronzer, Michelle. Okay. Blush. So some of my favorite blushes, and I thought it would be appropriate to use, especially with the new highlighter, are these Orchid highlighting blushes. So you've seen these. These are, I mean, they're really beautiful. The design is really gorgeous with this orchid in the middle. And then you see there's like 3 different shades in there. So they're a lot of fun to look at. And this is not an overspray. So it's all the way through to the bottom of the pan. And there are 3 different shades. This was number 2, Rose, the one that I was just holding up. And then I happen to like 1 a lot, which has a bronzy, peachy, like warm tone to it. It's really pretty. And then here is number 3, the coral shade. What you can't see in the pan, and probably you can't even see in the swatch, but you'll see when you apply it, there is the most gorgeous, subtle satin sheen to these powders. There's something very, very special about these powders. They look ethereal on the cheeks. So I think today, I'm gonna go in with, I think either 3 or 1. You know what, I'm gonna use 3, which is just a straight up coral. And let me do some swatches, even though I don't think the swatches do these products justice. There's the coral, there's the rose, and here's that deeper nude, warm nude shade. Now these are a pressed powder formula, so I don't think you need to use natural hair brushes with this. I'm gonna go in with the Say Fluffy brush. This is a synthetic haired brush. And I'm gonna go into number 3, Coral. And these blushes really imitate like your skin literally emitting this color. It does not look like you're wearing makeup. It really looks like it's coming from within. Look at that soft application. It's so gorgeous. So, so gorgeous. I remember when I was first getting into Sisley makeup, I was a little bit hesitant. I kept thinking, this kind of is like grandma makeup. I just felt like it was for those older ladies. Of course, I'm one of those older ladies now, but I now understand why older women love it because it goes on so effortlessly. It never ever kind of like picks up texture or emphasizes the wrong thing. It really always looks like it's just coming from within. And I've really come to appreciate not only Sisley makeup, you guys know I love their skincare, their hair care is incredible. Yeah, their products are just really, really impeccable. There is the Orchid blush in number 3. Now, let's jump over to this Orchid highlighter. I'm so, so excited. Another baked gel powder formula. Wow. I'm gonna do another swatch, and I'm gonna swatch this just underneath the blushes here. That's gorgeous. I love that it has a peachy undertone. It's reflecting the gold, but then there's a peach underneath. Oh, I really hope that's obvious on my cheek. All right, I've got my Refer number 4 brush, natural haired brush, and just gonna pick up some of this highlighter. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh my God. That is beautiful. That is so gorgeous. That is so gorgeous. Oh, I love it. It's the perfect tone. It's a beautiful formula. Gorgeous. And it's the tone of it that I really, really love. The formula, of course, is absolutely great. Yeah, a baked gel powder highlighter is so stunning, like so reflective without looking heavy or cakey or thick or opaque on the skin. Oh my God, it's incredible. This I like more than the Tom Ford ones because the tone of this one is perfect, is absolutely perfect. I'm going to swatch this highlighter next to the Tom Ford one because I didn't think the Tom Ford one was like the right tone exactly. I thought it looked, oh yeah, it's much lighter. I was gonna say, I thought it looked a little bit too frosty on my skin. Yeah, you can see how that just sort of blends into my skin tone. And this one stands out just a little bit too much. There's most definitely a place for this Tom Ford one, but for the everyday, I prefer this Sisley. Okay, now, I will say this. There aren't any Sisley eyebrow products that I really, really love. I find the pencils to be too soft, so they are not like mistake proof. And I find is it the gel, the tinted gel? I've already gotten rid of them because they were too old anyway, but I think it was a tinted gel that I had. It was just too dark. It was clumpy. It just didn't work well for me at all. So I'm just gonna go in with the Dior Show Brow Styler in dark brown and just quickly pencil in. You know, now that I'm sitting here doing my brows, I think I had a dream last night about doing brows. Was that a dream? I think it was a dream. I feel like I was at a class about penciling in brows, but the teacher was like making fun of were they making fun of me? No, they were making fun of like someone in the class or that's what it was. They were using them as like an example of what not to do, basically. Oh my God, I have brow anxiety. Brows are done. Let's move over to eyeshadow. So a lot of Sisley eyeshadow options. So they just recently came out with these quads. They have two color versions. This one is Tender Toffee, and you guys have seen me use this. And you've also seen me use this one, the Bois de Rose. So this is a little bit of a peachier, rosier, warmer palette. Very pretty. And they actually work really well together if you want to kind of mix some of the tones. They're very nice. Formula's very nice. Pressed powder formula, not difficult to work with. Lovely. And then they have these single shadows, which they've had for a really, really long time. These little guys, these are so underrated. No one talks about these, but these are a baked gel powder formula. Every single one of these Phyto-Ombre shadows, these single shadows, are baked gel powder. They have different finishes. They have some matte, they have some sparkling, they have some that are like a satin. This one happens to be number 14, Sparkling Topaz. It is so gorgeous. And this formula is so incredible because again, it's that baked gel powder formula. So you're not gonna have any fallout. It's not gonna like be patchy or anything. It's just so smooth. And then they have the liquid eyeshadow, which I really love. They have eyeshadow sticks, which are really, really lovely. But I think I'm going to stick with these Phyto-Ombres. Now I only have 2 shades of these left because I decluttered a whole bunch of these because I had these since their launch, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. And I was like, that's disgusting. So this Sparkling Topaz is actually a re-up. And then this one I kept because it's so pretty, but this one is Glow Pearl number 40. So we're gonna use these 2 today because I haven't used these in a while for you guys. I just use these quads for you. And then, yeah, the liquid shadows I've talked about a lot. Anyway, let's use the Phyto-Ombres. So again, I'm gonna use a natural hair brush. I've got my Refer Shoto number 3 brush. This has a really beautiful light touch to it. So I'm gonna go into the Sparkling Topaz and just start on the outer corner and work that in. And this brush has such a nice, light, gentle touch. I'm just gonna wipe off that brush on my microfiber towel here, get any excess product off, and now I'm gonna go into this Glow Pearl and apply this all over the rest of my lid here. Okay, love it, love it. Easy, simple, polished look, just using 2 shadows. So those are the Phyto-Ombres. I love them. I love these so much. I am gonna use some eyeliner. So I do have the Phyto Star eyeliners from Sisley, and I have shades number 2 and 11 here. These are probably my 2 favorites from the line. And I didn't always have good luck with these Phyto Stars because they have some that are like a very sparkly, glittery. I'm not sure if they still have them. I think they do. And if you see an eyeliner from them that's like really sparkly and glittery, those are the ones I do not like because they're actually chunky. And I actually had problems with those because they look really cool and I would love wearing them, but the pieces would actually fall into my eye and really irritate my eyes. So I got rid of all of those and I've stuck with the ones that are either matte or just have like a little bit of a sheen to them. So number 2 is a matte brown. Let me just do a quick swatch. So straight up, nothing too complicated. These are like the twist up, twist down. And here is number 11, which has a little bit of a metallic sheen to them. It's like an antique bronze. I really like that shade too. But neither of these shades have those glittery chunks that I'm talking about. And I feel like they called that finish something else. I can't remember, but you'll notice them if you go in store or even if you go online because you'll see like sparkles. You don't want those. I don't think you want those. They really irritated my eyes. So I'm gonna use number 2, which is the matte brown. I'm gonna use this on my upper waterline. They're super soft, super creamy. They are waterproof. They stay put. They don't smudge. A really great formula, except for those glittery ones. And now I'm going to use number 11 in my lower waterline. Okay, now I'm going to curl my lashes. Got my Rephr number 20 lash curler. And while I'm doing this, I'm just gonna say I'm also not the hugest fan of Sisley mascaras. I think I have found one that I like the best, but I don't even like that one as much as some of my favorite mascaras. But a lot of the mascaras for me are either too clumpy, too thick, they smudge, they just don't work well for me. But I have been playing around with the Sisley. It's the So Intense, and this is in number 2, dark brown. And this has like almost no wand. It's like a little bit of a brush. This one I'm enjoying a little bit more. There's one that's like So Volume. That does not work for me at all. But yeah, this one works the best for me, but I still always seem to opt for, you guys know, my other favorites like the Benefit Roller Lash, my Surat Noir Lash Tint. Oh, you guys know I love the Suku one, my Chantecaille one. Those I always seem to prefer and reach for over this one. But this one I think so far is my favorite out of all of the Sisley mascaras. Okay, and now for lips. I've got 2 lip liners from Sisley. And the Sisley lip liner is the lip liner that had me fall in love with lip liners. Until then, I couldn't care less. It was just something, it felt like a step that I needed to do if I wanted to make sure like the lipstick didn't feather or whatever. But these lip liners, which were introduced to me by Risa Does Makeup, by the way, so I'm sure you guys follow her. She was like, oh my God, have you tried the Sisley lip liners? And I was like, no, I don't really care. And she was like, try them. She loved them. And boy, oh boy, was she right. So I've got Nude and Beige Naturel. Now, admittedly, these are pretty similar, but Nude is lighter and peachier. And Beige Naturel, oh, it's a little pinkier. Okay, now that I'm swatching them side by side, they're not very similar, but there's Nude. And there's Beige Naturel. This lip liner goes on so easily, so effortlessly, and it doesn't fade, but it's really comfortable. It doesn't feel thick on the lips. It's just really awesome. It's almost like it grips unnoticeably. It's incredible. It is a pencil that you have to sharpen, which I like because it doesn't really like dry out and then like crack off. And then the other end has a little brush. I never use the little brush. I just use the pencil side and I usually use like my finger to blend it out. But I think I'll use Beige Naturel. Yeah, I'll use Beige Naturel. And I remember when I first used these lip liners like 1,000 years ago, I was coming off of using a MAC lip liner, and I didn't realize how drying and uncomfortable the MAC lip liners were until I tried this like right after using a MAC lip liner, and I was like, oh, there is such a difference. Such a difference. Okay, so there is Beige Naturel. And then for lips, I'm gonna use one of the Phyto Rouge lipsticks. So I love these lipsticks. I love them so much. And when they first came out with these lipsticks, I remember they were calling them a matte lipstick that didn't feel matte, that didn't look too dry or whatever. But now I think that they actually kind of market them differently. They market them as kind of like just a cream lipstick, which I think is truer to how they look and how they behave. And then they do have a matte velvet lipstick line, which I'm not just personally that interested in because I don't really like a terribly matte, velvety kind of lip. So I love these, and they also have, you know, they have lip glosses, they have the Phyto Shines, which are these really gorgeous like tinted balms that have a decent amount of pigmentation, but I thought I would use these today. The Rouge Monaco, you guys, if you are looking for like a tomato red for this spring, summertime, look no further. This Rouge Monaco is absolutely gorgeous. This is one of those lip colors that you can put down just like that primer and put this on. You don't need anything else. No one's gonna notice anything else. Put clothes on, but no one's gonna notice anything else. They're just gonna see your beautiful lips and this color. So that's Rouge Monaco. And I think the last time I did a Sisley look, I put this on. So I'm gonna use Beige Japur, which is this gorgeous nude shade. And let me do a swatch of this. Look at that. Oof. And this formula is gorgeous. This packaging is gorgeous. And I really like the bullet. Let me show you the bullet again. Isn't that cool? I don't know. For some reason, this shaped bullet just makes it easier for me to apply like colors like this, which can sometimes be difficult, like a bright red. Just makes it a lot easier. But I'm going to go in with the Beige Japur. Super creamy feeling, beautiful pigmentation, works beautifully with that Beige Naturel. Such a good new lip. It's so comfortable. It's so good. So, so good. Well, that's it, guys. Full face of Sisley with some random thoughts thrown in there. I am loving these two new products from Sisley. This new bronzer, I like the tone a little bit more than the old one. The old one is quite warm. I would save that bronzer generally for like deep summer when I felt like I was looking a little bit tan and I can kind of carry that warmer tone bronze. This one, while still warm, is just a little bit pulled back from being too orange. Really, really lovely. Gorgeous formula, as you heard me just ramble about. And this highlighter is stunning. This shade is absolutely perfect for my skin tone. So if you have a similar skin tone to mine, I think you will really, really love this. If you have a deeper skin tone than me, but you like a really bright kind of highlight, I think this will work really well for you too. But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts about Sisley down below in my comment section. Let me know what some of your favorite products are. I know I didn't talk about all of them. I didn't want this video to be too long, but yeah, there's so many favorites of mine in the Sisley line, but I'd love to hear from you what yours are. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you're enjoying my content, and I will see you in my next video.